assistant, the deputy director of the FBI's office, and they're talking politics. They're talking politics. They're not talking the investigation. They're talking politics. Strzok is sitting here saying, well, I don't know. Your idea, he's talking to his mistress, Lisa Page. I don't know. Your plan, your theory here that Trump has no way of winning. I don't know. We need a backup plan. We can't count on that. They're talking politics inside the FBI director's office, the deputy director. Now we find out that Robert Orr's wife applied for a ham radio license. This is shortwave, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently the NSA doesn't monitor shortwave. That kind of surprised me. I thought the NSA hoovered up everything. But the point is that they were looking for communications ability that could not be monitored during a so-called up-and-up investigation. I'll tell you, I'm getting so frustrated at people who say, look, we got to be able to understand that people of different political persuasions can conduct a fair investigation. Just because the investigators may be partisan Hillary donors or Hillary supporters doesn't mean they're not good lawmen. Why are we so obtuse? Why don't we see what's going on? Well, enough of us do, but it just... I know there are people that want to protect the reputation of the FBI, and there are people who want to protect the reputation of DOJ and all this at all costs because of the, the overall importance long-term of those institutions. But for crying out loud, some of this stuff is just now getting to be beyond the pale and beyond any ability to rationalize it as what they claim it is, an above-board, fair, nonpartisan, unbiased investigation. It's quite the opposite. And I'll tell you something else that bugs me. Yesterday was crabby. Well, I'm crabby. Because I'll tell you why I'm crabby today. Because yesterday everybody is telling me how crabby they are. Today I got nothing but pessimism. You would not believe the emails, pessimism, fatalism. You people don't know what I put up with here every day. It's incredible. Everybody dumps on me. Everybody tells me how mad they are, how depressed they are, how ticked off, how whatever. I can't do that with anybody. Do you realize I can't whine to anybody? I can't complain to anybody because when I do it, it's news. You should have heard what Rush told me the other day. Blam, blam, blam. And then it's everywhere. I have to hold everything in. Hang on. My alarm just went off here. I got to unplug the phone, make sure it doesn't charge too much. I have a technique here. There we go. Gun. So I have to, what do you mean, talk to the cat? How do I know the cat doesn't leak? Literally, I have to keep all this stuff in. I can't say a word to anybody about anything with confidence that it's going to stay where I tell them. And, well, yeah, there's other than Catherine, of course. But I mean, other than that, I can't tell anybody what I really think about things, what I'm really feeling about things. And, of course, I was never, I was raised not to share feelings anyway. That was part of being a man back when I was raised. Speaking of being raised, what did I do? There is a, get this. This has nothing to do with anything I just brought up, but it just reminded me of something. A couple of tweets out there. Apparently, Donald Trump Jr. has just had his second 10-hour grilling session over a 20-minute meeting that he had. Donald Trump Jr., 20-minute meeting with the Russian honeypot. He's now had 2 9 or 10-hour interviews with investigators. And there's some reporter for some outfit named Stephen Dennis who tweets, Donald Trump Jr. has left the building 9 hours after arriving. He waved. He didn't comment. Hair still slick. Next they're going to accuse Trump Jr. of cornering the market on Brill cream or something. But that's not the point. Then there's somebody that responded to this tweet. Her name is Virginia Heffernan. She's a contributing editor at Politico. She has bylines at the New York Times. So, let me again read the Stephen Dennis tweet. Donald Trump Jr. has left the building 9 hours after arriving. He waved. He didn't comment. Hair still slick. Virginia Heffernan, Politico, also writes in the New York Times. My friend Anna taught Donald Trump Jr. in preschool in Manhattan. She asked him to move his mat one day, and he said, F you, B-I-H. He was 3. I need to ask you parents, and I could ask my brother about this, but I didn't think of it. How many of you parents, 3-year-old? I mean, my wife's nephew was just over at the house for a little Christmas party on Sunday. There is no way that 3-year-old kid even knows that phrase, F-U-B-I. How many of you with 3-year-olds routinely have them speak this way? Yeah, another investigation. But this is just, again, this is somebody tweeting from the Politico who writes at the New York Times with some hearsay. My friend Anna taught Don Jr. preschool in Manhattan. She asked him to move his mat one day, and he said, F-U-B-I-H. He was 3. And then today's for you, Anna. I guess because they think Donald Jr. is in trouble, and getting in trouble here while his hair is slicked down is payback for telling his preschool teacher F-U-B-I-H when he was 3. Now we learn these investigators are using shortwave radio, ham radio, to communicate with each other. They're voting on net neutrality today. Ajit Pai running the FCC. And man, folks, the panic is all over the place. Do you remember, some of you might remember this name, some of you might not. Does the name Sandra Fluck ring a bell with you? Well, Sandra Fluck apparently has been recruited to help the anti-net neutrality forces marshal their action today to protest the vote, which is going to happen, and the Obama-era net neutrality regulations are going to be relaxed, which is good for an open internet. Sandra Fluck has tweeted that killing net neutrality would kill access to abortion information. Before tomorrow's vote, take action with NARAL to demand the FCC keep internet open for reproductive freedom. In other words, if they get rid of net neutrality, women are no longer going to be able to find out where to go, what to do, and how to do it to get an abortion. Tell Congress there is no reproductive freedom without net neutrality. Join us in the fight to save our internet. Sign your name to tell Congress and the FCC that net neutrality is necessary for reproductive. If you've ever had any doubts about what this is, this ought to end them. Net neutrality is nothing but another one of these uber left-wing socialist / communist causes that expands government and gives it total regulatory power over the internet. There are other tweets today claiming climate change depends on net neutrality. If the net neutrality rules and regulations are relaxed today, that's bad for climate change. And you want a little irony or hypocrisy. From the Daily Wire, Hollywood celebrities throw Christmas fundraiser for Planned Parenthood. Now you might think, so what, Rush? So what? Well, what is Christmas? It's celebrating the birth, B-I-R-T-H, virgin in front of it, celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ. And now you have a variety show fundraiser for the organization that ends the lives of so many babies before they're born. And they are Hollywood. I mean, what is it, 1.3 million abortions a year that have, at the peak? I don't know what it is now. So abortion celebrated all over the left today. Net neutrality. Even have some audio sound bites on this. Let me find where they are, because I didn't know I was going to lead with net neutrality. So bear with me here, folks, while I find out where this stuff is. And this is the first pass. I don't know where it is. So I'm sorry. Page 1, cut 3. Okay. Mignon Clyburn. She's the daughter of James Clyburn of the Congressional Black Caucasians. She is a Democrat member of the Federal Communications Commission. And this morning outside the FCC during a protest over the ending of net neutrality, Mignon Clyburn, nicknamed here is Steak Clyburn, had this to say.
We're right next door to a place that is going to make a significant decision today. But we're right next door to some people who speak for those who recognize that equality over the internet is a right. There This is about internet equality.
Here we go.
This is about internet equality. And you've got two people that will sit in those chairs today, and they will be your voices for internet equality. But you've got a court system, you've got Congress people, you've got millions of people who are in your corner, and we will achieve internet equality. Internet equality. Net neutrality.
Internet, what, she got confused there. Internet
at the end of the day.
What is that? Internet equality? She meant to say internet net neutrality. Never has there been a more misnamed, fraudulent, phony issue than net neutrality. They want you to think that putting the government in charge of it and regulating it is going to keep everybody on it equal and the same. It's the exact opposite. They want to turn the internet into a utility is what they mean. They want it regulated like the power company is and like the phone company is. They want it regulated by the federal government because they run the federal government in their minds, and they want control over the internet, and they want to be able to punish the cable providers, and they want to be able to punish the ISPs. They want to punish AT&T. They want to punish Comcast. They want to pay. They hate them. The only thing that young people care about on the internet is Netflix. If you could find a way to make Netflix free, they would forget about opposing anything else you wanted to do there. It's a bit of an exaggeration. Here's Ed Markey, Democrat. He's a senator now from Massachusetts. He was also at the net neutrality protest.
This is a fundamental issue of equality. This is about ensuring that people, without fear that they will be cut off, can say Black Lives Matter. Say, puede.
What?
That they can say, yes, she persisted, that it is possible for any voice, no matter how small, to be online, that any company, no matter how small, can get online without fear of having themselves tipped upside down and having money shaken out of their pockets by the big broadband barons.
So we must have net neutrality so that we can have Black Lives Matter, and so that she can say she persists, and so that we can make fools of ourselves. And then you go back to Sandra Fluck. We need net neutrality, or women are not going to be able to find out how to get abortions. It's like magic, folks. When the FCC votes to roll back Obama-era oppressive regulation of the internet, immediately women are going to be walking around dazed and confused, not knowing where to go to abort their babies, not knowing where to go to find out where to go, not knowing where to go to find out how to do it, not even to find out where the back alleys are. Because net neutrality is going to take away all of that information. Net neutrality is going to take away Black Lives Matter. The people who believe in Black Lives Matter somehow magically are going to lose access to the internet. You think this is about the internet. You look at these people making fools of themselves in this protest, the things they're saying. If anything should tell you that this is nothing but the latest dazzling cause of the day for the Uber Lyft, it's all these sound bites. Here's Chuck U. Schumer in Washington on the Senate floor.
If net neutrality is eliminated, the internet may resemble a toll road with the highest bidders cruising along private fast lanes, while the rest of us inch along on a single traffic-choked public lane. We could be forced to purchase internet packages much like cable packages, paying for more popular sites. It's hard to imagine an entrepreneur building the world's next revolutionary billion-dollar company while she sits in a bumper-to-bumper traffic online.
All right, well, let me ask you a question. Obama-era net neutrality rules are basically 2 years old. The internet came into existence from literally nothing and blossomed into what it was with anything you wanted. You could find anything you wanted, and you could buy different speeds, you could buy different packages, you could buy whatever you could afford, you could buy whatever you wanted, and look at what happened to the internet. It grew and grew and grew, and these people in Washington are sitting there seething that they don't have any control over it. They are seething that this massive thing, which is getting everybody involved. There was more free speech on the internet when it first started, and for the next 15 years than there's ever been anywhere. There was more access to information the first 15 years of the internet when it was unregulated than anything ever in human history. New companies were born, large and small. Some succeeded, some failed. But it was look at what's happened to the tech industry with a free and open internet. For the first 15 years, and Obama and his crowd figures out, we don't have any control over this. We want to get our mitts in it. Think back 10, 15 years. How bad was the internet? Look at all that was there, and it was free. You want the New York Times? It was free. You want anything? It was free because they didn't know how to monetize it at first. Then they started doing paywalls, but that had nothing to do with internet regulation. It had to do with profit. So if you wanted to read the New York Times on the internet and you didn't have a subscription, lo and behold, you had to pay for it. Why would that be? Well, that costs them to produce it or anything else. My point is the first 15 years of the internet, you could do anything you wanted on it. You could access anything you wanted on it. It was wide open. It grew and it created multi-billionaires left and right. There was nothing wrong with it except the left didn't have their hands on it. Here comes Obama, net neutrality. Net neutrality is the same as affordable health care for all Americans. There was nothing affordable about Obamacare, was there? Remember, you get to keep your doctor, keep your plan if you like it. They're doing the same lying technique here with net neutrality. Got to take a break. Now the tax bill. There's a lot going on in this tax bill. Well, you be the judge. Snurdly asked me, is it good? CNN had a poll I saw right as the program was starting that only 26% of the American people support it. I don't know what poll it was. I didn't notice. I've seen other polling data which shows that it's not got big numbers of support. Now stop and think of that. Tax cuts does not seem to have majority support, and neither did Obamacare. Don't misunderstand. I'm not saying the polls are going to stop them from doing it. I'm actually talking more about how in the world can you be promoting the biggest tax cut in American history? 26% of the American people favor it. 74% oppose it. Look at it that way. That's number one. Well, I'll tell you why. It's what the drive-bys have done to it. They said the only people getting a tax cut are big business and the rich. And then the loss of deductibility for state and local income taxes. A lot of people love deductions. When they denied deductions for credit card interest back in 1988, 80, whatever, people blew up over that, even though it didn't matter a hill of beans. But then, there are two senators that may not even make the vote, McCain and Thad Cochran. And if McCain is able, he's in Walter Reed, he's got some bad reaction to cancer medication. If he is able to show up, how's he going to vote? It's not a slam dunk in the Senate by any stretch. I think the vote's not till next week. And we're going to go to the phones. We had a guy on a couple days ago, unable to get to him. We asked if we could call him back. He said, yes, of course. I'd do anything to appear with you on your show. So here he is, Dave in Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania. Hi, Dave. Great to have you. Thank you for letting us call you back.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rush. Merry Christmas from a 24/7 subscriber.
Thank you, sir, very much.
It was 25 years ago this week. I saw a billboard with your name on it when I was living in Durham, North Carolina, and I tuned in for the first time, and I've been a listener ever since. And I thank you for all that you do. You kept reassuring us for the last 8 years that it's not time to panic, and I can't tell you what a gift that's been.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm also gratified to learn that billboards work.
It did in this case, absolutely. I had a question. I remember back in the 90s when the economy turned around during Clinton's presidency, you pointed out to us that it was not because of his policies, but it was a lasting impact of the policies of Ronaldus Magnus.
Yep.
The reason I'm asking about this right now is last week, while Obama continues his Don't Forget About Me tour, he was at a mayor's conference in Chicago, and he took credit for the current economic growth that we're experiencing right now.
Of course he did.
I'm having some debates with liberal friends of mine who are saying, well, if Reagan got credit for Clinton's economy, why shouldn't Obama get credit for Trump's economy?
Well, that's an excellent question. I'm going to arm you here with the answers. Let's first revisit a little history. The Reagan economic boom actually began before Reagan left office. There were two recessions that Reagan, one inherited, and the second recession of 81 and 82, shortly after he was inaugurated. Then the phased-in tax cuts began to work. And by the time Reagan left office, this economy was roaring, and the deficit was coming down, interest rates were coming down, and employment was going up. And then George W. Bush is elected, and that economy continued. And then shortly before 1992, sometime in 1990 or 91, there was a little recessionary dip, and it coincided with the Democrat presidential campaign of Bill Clinton. He and Al Gore formed a phrase, worst economy in the last 50 years. And it wasn't. It was a 6-month recessionary dip. The reasons for it are inexplicable. The economy's too big and too complicated to explain what happened for 6 months. But Clinton and the media successfully sold worst economy in the last 50 years. It got Bush defeated. There were other factors, too. Then Clinton comes in. All during his campaign, he's promising a middle-class tax cut. And then 3 months after he's inaugurated, he says he's never worked harder, but he just can't do it. There just isn't a way. Bush had not told him how bad the economy was. So they manufactured, and people fell for it. I can remember being so damn frustrated here. People fell for the idea it was the worst economy in the last 50 years because the media was pumping it day in and day out, and it wasn't. So the momentary recessionary thing went away, and the foundation of the Reagan economic boom never went away because Clinton didn't raise taxes. He did limit the deductibility of corporate CEO pay at $1 million, but the Reagan Economy Foundation was so strong that it survived whatever liberal Democrat policies of Clinton, and it just kept roaring. So the Clinton economy would not have happened. It would not have had it not been for the foundation of Reagan. Now let's move forward to Obama. Your friends say we've got a roaring economy now, and you wouldn't let Clinton take credit for it. It was Reagan, but now you want Trump to get credit for it and not Obama. Right. Here's what you tell them. Remind them, all during the 8 years of Obama, how we were told a declining economy was the new normal. That America had had an unreal period of economic growth and that it was somewhat artificial. And America was now stabilizing. There had been things that were really not justified. And what we were dealing with now was Obama telling us to manage the decline. Obama told us the days of massive GDP were over. And in fact, during 8 years of Obama, we never had a gross domestic product in any quarter anywhere near 3%. We had massive tax increases. We had Obamacare. We had the federal government literally steal 1/6 of the U.S. economy by taking health care under its wing. That took 1/6 of the economy out of the economy and put it in control of the government, which doesn't know how to make money, which is not supposed to. It just redistributes it. So Obama didn't even sell a great economy when he was in office. Right. That wasn't his mission, was to try to condition people that the best days were behind us. That there was a new normal, that America had to pay a price for its economic superpower status of the past, that it was unjustified, that we had become an economic superpower by stealing resources from other nations. We were told that we didn't deserve our superpower military status because we were imposing our way of life on other nations. Obama did his best to condition people not to expect massive economic growth ever again because what they had lived through was not really justified, because it had been built on the backs of slaves, it had been built on the backs of the poor, it had been built on the backs of foreign countries, and now things were stabilizing. Obama literally did not sell a massive growing economy. He tried to promote jobs by having the government do seminars in the White House. Okay, so now Obama leaves. And during the presidential campaign of 2016, we have a candidate, Donald Trump, who is devoted to getting the American economy back on track. He calls it making America great again, MAGA. There are hats that people wear. They make fun of the hats because Trump wears them. But he made a point of bringing back manufacturing jobs. Obama said those jobs are never coming back. Obama went to the carrier company in Indiana, Dave, and he told workers there that the jobs that had been lost were never coming back. Well, 80,000 of them are back. 80,000 manufacturing jobs. In the first 10 months of this year, a record number of manufacturing jobs in 10 months have been created and brought back to the United States. Many companies have said they're not going to move their manufacturing process overseas, which was happening at a regular clip with Obama. I mean, I could go on. We have Unemployment here is at an all-time low. African-American unemployment, all-time low. Check it out during Obama. Obama had 8 years to do whatever magic he said he could with the economy. It continued to lay flat. It continued to stagnate. And Obama said, this is it. And in fact, there were even people were saying, you know, the idea that your kids are going to have it better than you did, that has to end sometime. Obama was all about lowering people's expectations because he knew that what his plans were would result in that. When you grow the government, and you grow the government by taking money away from people, when you grow the government, you can't have a growing economy. The government grows, but not the economy. And when the government redistributes, and the government's choosing winners and losers, not the market. And that was Obama, because he didn't trust the market. Obama and people like him don't trust you or me to do the right things with our money and with our businesses. They need to regulate it. They need to control it, because you won't hire the right people. You won't bake a cake for the right wedding. You won't do anything unless they make you do it, because you are contemptible. All of that's gone out the window. And in 10 months, the economic statistics, look at the stock market. Look at the employment situation for minorities, non-minorities. Look at the GDP. We've already had 2 quarters of 3% economic growth. Obama never had one. But you know, this idea that it's Obama's economy, there's a reason Trump called Don Lemon stupid. On his show on CNN Tuesday night and Wednesday night, Don Lemon said that Trump should be thanking Obama for handing him a really good economy. He said on Tuesday he doesn't think people are stupid and realized that Trump is riding the momentum of an economy Obama created. On Wednesday night, Don Lemon used the thank you line and said he wonders if Trump would be crying if he was given the economy that Obama inherited when he took the presidency. So Obama inherited a mess, just like Clinton did. It's a standard Democrat project. They inherit a bad economy. Their predecessors lied to them about how bad it is. That sets the stage for a bad, weak economy, because Democrats preside over those kinds of economies. So here comes Don Lemon. So this is a coordinated push that your friends are falling for, probably purposefully. You're probably not going to be able to talk them out of this, no matter how much logic I have shared with you that you repeat. But there's no way. There is no measure in which the Obama economy outperforms Trump's. There is no measure that says Trump's economy is simply an outgrowth of Obama's. Trump has had to institute a whole bunch of changes, change the focus, change the overall outlook of America's role in the world in order to make these economic circumstances happen. There's a difference between conservatism and liberalism. There's a huge difference between freedom and socialism. There's a big difference in freedom and government control and regulation. 8 years of Obama versus 10 months of Donald Trump. The contrast is simple. You can't miss it unless you want to, unless you're so poisoned and blinded by partisanship. Remember, Obama never had 3% growth. Obama took so much money out of the economy as government took over this and that, like health care, lied to you in the process about it. Obama never tried to condition everybody that America's best days are behind us. That a new normal now, because America had been unfair in the past. America had become an economic superpower by stealing and by appropriating resources and things were not ours. We had militarily oppressed people and tried to impose our way of life on them, which is freedom. And Obama was here to correct America and make it right in the eyes of the world, which is to downsize it and to strip it of superpower status. And that's exactly what Obama did. Tell your friends to get a brain. What has the left been doing this past year, among many other things? They have been whining and moaning about Trump undoing everything Obama did, right? You can't do that. You can't do that. They're just literally complaining about everything Trump is undoing, everything Obama did. And then they come along and claim that after ripping to shreds everything Obama did, this economic boom is because of what Obama did? How does that work? How can you rip to shreds everything Obama did and then Obama claim the economy is his? But that's what the left is saying. Yes, this economy is because of the brilliance and leadership of Barack Obama. Wait, you said Trump ripped everything up. Well, he did, yes, but Obama was so good and so powerful and so brilliant and so strong that he was able to survive everything Trump has done to tear it apart. Oh, okay. Dunderheads. The solution, one of the many solutions possible for this country, is for Hillsdale College to begin educating everybody. If Hillsdale College educated everybody, we wouldn't be anywhere near where we are. And one of the reasons Hillsdale College is so good, and one of the reasons they are able to teach the things they teach, is they don't take any federal money, and therefore there is no input from the federal government over their curriculum. That means Hillsdale College is self-sufficient. They have freedom. They say no thanks to the opportunity to take federal government dollars to help pay the cost of operations of their college. Most colleges do, as a matter of course, take money from the government and wherever else they can get it. Hillsdale goes the other way. They take pride in refusing even a penny from the federal government. This allows their faculty and their administration to complete a curriculum that's totally rooted in what they think is important at Hillsdale. They get to select the topics. They get to select the way these topics are taught, such as the Constitution and American freedom, its roots, how it has survived, the Constitution. They get to educate their students the way they think best with no federal control. Hillsdale encourages lots of classroom discussion and debate. They teach, they encourage critical thinking. If you get your feelings hurt at Hillsdale, you quickly get over it by learning how to not get your feelings hurt. You can learn more about a college that's free from any government regulations and how they continue to thrive despite no federal money at rushforhillsdale.com. If every American had a chance to be educated by this university, we wouldn't have over half the problems we've got. Here is Dave in Seattle. Dave, great to have you with us on the EIB network. Hello.
Hey, hi, Rush. Glad to get in. Hey, just yesterday you were talking a little bit about Alabama and the left and what they used over there for the election and stuff. But I still think that people just don't really understand the depth of the hatred on the left. They are willing to burn this country to the ground. I said that the day after the election of Trump, watching what's his name on CNN. He was corkscrewing himself into the ground, and I just said, that's it. They're going to burn this country down. If they can't have it, nobody else. But I think the really other big problem is that Alabama has set a new standard now. All we're going to see in any election is character assassination and last-second, pop-up allegations, which will be judged, jury, and execution on Twitter. We don't even need judges anymore in this country. They can all go home.
Look, I hear you about Twitter, and I hear you, the hatred that exists on the left. You're absolutely right. It isn't new, though. Twitter is just exposing it. It has always been there, and it is multiplying, and it's intensifying. And along with the hatred is violent rage. And that intimidates people into silence and shutting up, don't want to encounter it. It is deep, and it is personal. And if you want to know the truth, the source of the hatred is most of these people on the left hate themselves for one reason or another. There's so much self-loathing, they want to take it out on others. As to sexual harassment, yeah, look, I understand exactly what you're saying, but the problem is, look at how many people are, in fact, guilty of it, and worse. And every day, there's 10 more. So this is tough to say it's something that's been ginned up by the left and it's not legitimate. It is. So what? Paul Ryan's leaving. I mean, let me ask you this. What Republican, what sane Republican would want to be in that town? Well, we just had a caller talking about the hate on Twitter. The heck with that. How about the hate in that town? How about the hate? We've had everything the Democrats touch in that town's been corrupted, including now the FBI, including the Department of Justice, and this so-called investigation. The more I think about this, The more I think, I was on Chris Wallace on Fox News Sunday back in the spring. I wish I had bounced out of this chair and stood up and run right to that camera and started screaming. This is so outrageous. This whole thing. It did not happen. We are ruining lives over something that did not happen. I'm sorry, I'll stop. If I goes forward on this, it'll be 4 days in a row. And then you've heard it, been there, done that. But it frosts me. And then everybody falls in line. Well, there's an investigation. We must see the investigation. Why can't you say the investigation's unjustified? Why can't we just say it's bogus? This whole thing has been manufactured. This is unreal the way this is happening. Donald Trump Jr. with 2 10-hour interviews over a 20-minute meeting, for example. And that's not even the worst of it. The worst of it is that there isn't any collusion. And they're not even investigating that anymore. Now they're trying to manufacture the Trump obstructs of justice. And we've got obvious partisans doing everything they can to hide what they're doing. They've been caught, and we can't assume that just because they're partisan that they wouldn't do if they're investigate. The hell we can't. Our intelligence requires us to admit that they are screwing with us, and they're doing it on purpose, and they're doing it in their minds with impunity. Getting ham radio licenses so that they can talk to each other and not be overheard by anybody in an investigation. Talking political outcomes in the FBI deputy director's office. Greetings, folks, and welcome back. Great to have you. What I'm talking about is this. There's a Kimberly Strassel tweet. You know, here's another thing. Why are we learning these texts? You know, there's a steady drip leak of these text messages between Peter Strzok and his mistress, Page, Lisa Page. How is this happening? I'll tell you what I think. You know, there is a massive inspectors general investigation of the DOJ and the FBI going on. The inspector general is somebody, and every department has one. There's one over at the Department of Agriculture. There's one in every cabinet level bureaucracy. They're everywhere. And structurally, ostensibly, they are there to investigate what these agencies are doing and keep them on the up and up. Well, the Inspector General is investigating this investigation. It's not a formal investigation like a new special counsel would be, but it is an examination of the procedures. And it's been going on for quite a while. And it's got to be, these texts have to be the result of leaks from the Inspector General's office. Now, why would the IG be leaking this stuff that's damaging to these investigators? Why would the IG, and I don't know if it's a Trump appointee or if it's holdover Obama. If it's holdover Obama, I really don't believe this is happening. But why would an Inspector General be leaking this stuff? There's a reason these people leak, and every leaker has his own reason for doing so. We know that the leakers in the deep state were trying to undermine Trump. But why are we reading? Why are we learning what Peter Strzok was saying back and forth to his mistress? And why are we learning what they were talking about in Andrew McCabe's office? Well, there is a theory out there that holds that the Inspector General has a dynamite report coming that's going to blow this whole thing to smithereens. And these leaks are a way of setting us up, the American people, up for what is coming. So that when it does report, it's not a series of, my God, I didn't know that it's going to confirm what these little leaks have informed us. Week after week after week. Now, I can't say that I'm familiar with inspectors general and how they operate and all that, so I can only share with you that particular theory. But since I'm so unaccustomed to leaks benefiting us, I'm so unaccustomed to inspectors general working for us, that I'm sorry, I'm just automatically suspicious. I'm not characterizing this in any way. These leaks are not like making these people look good in any way, stretch the imagination. They are illustrating how this investigation is corrupted. And here's Kimberly Strassel's latest tweet. This April text from Lisa Page to Strzok Stroke raises a whole new host of questions for the FBI. Here's the tweet, the text. This is, again, from Lisa Page to Strzok Stroke. So look, you say we text on that phone when we talk about Hillary because it can't be traced? So she's telling him, or she's actually asking him, you're saying we should use that phone because it can't be traced when we're talking about Hillary? Why would it matter if they're being overheard if all they're doing is conducting an investigation? But they're talking politics here. They're talking strategy. They're talking ways to undermine Trump here after the election. And they don't want anybody to know it. And this is what the IG is leaking. But now the question, how many other people the FBI were doing this? How many other people were using that phone, quote unquote, when they were talking about Hillary so that it couldn't be traced? I'm sorry, folks, but I'm having the damnedest time believing that all of these partisans were fair investigators as we're being told to treat them. I'm having the toughest time. Their texts back and forth to each other clearly indicate their bias and their hatred of Donald Trump. Imagine these people on election night. We just had a caller about the rage and anger on Twitter and how it's poisoning our society, and it is. Well, I want you to imagine these people, Peter Strzok Stroke, Andrew McCabe, whose wife was running for the Senate in Virginia and got money from Terry McAuliffe, a full-fledged Democrat. Strzok Stroke and this babe hate Trump. Now, I want you to imagine these people all during the campaign and on election night thinking Hillary's going to win. They all thought Hillary's going to win. There was no thought that there would ever be one of these investigations because there would never need to be. They weren't thinking Russian collusion. They weren't talking about Russian collusion because they weren't going to taint Hillary's win. So there wasn't any Russian collusion. Hillary had been exonerated by Comey back on July 5th. They had taken care of that. They had said she's not going to be prosecuted because they couldn't find where she intended to break the law, even though the statute does not require that. So they clearly had stacked the deck for Hillary. She had trafficked in classified data and documents on her illegal server, and she was exonerated. Her interview was she wasn't even under oath. And Comey's exoneration of her happened even before she was interviewed. She was interviewed as a formality. So imagine these people. All during the campaign, they hate Trump. They hate Trump. He's a barbarian. He's a pig. He's whatever these leftists conjure up in their own poisoned minds. The degree of hatred they have for Trump knows no bounds, but they want Trump punished for even getting this far. The fact that he won the Republican primary, they want to destroy Trump. They want to make sure nobody ever tries this again. But with them and Trump, it's personal. They literally hate him. But that's mitigated by their confidence that Hillary's going to win. So, election night. And they are upended. And they're bamboozled. And they're blown out of the water. They are in shock, literal shock. They are in literal clinical depression. They are in a clinical state of disbelief. They cannot believe they have stacked the deck for her. They did every dirty trick they could to poison the electorate's mind on Trump. Hillary even won the popular vote. They can't comprehend this. They can't absorb this. I'm talking about Strzok Stroke. I'm talking about Rosenstein. I'm talking about all of these people. Mueller, all of these people are all the same. I'm talking about Lisa Page, McCabe, all of these people who had exonerated Hillary were preparing to celebrate the demise of Donald Trump, and he wins. And I think they lose their grip. And so then they have to gin it all up again. They've got to get rid of Trump. And we've got the text to prove they're talking about it. Even before the election. They're worried that he might win. They're confident he won't, but they want an insurance policy. We've got a text between Strzok Stroke and Lisa Page where she lays out in McCabe's office, the DOJ, the second command in the FBI. They're in there talking the presidential election. These people are now part of the investigation. And Lisa Page says, look, I've looked at this every which way but Sunday. There's no way the guy wins. And Strzok says, I don't know. We need an insurance policy just in case. And now we've got one. Their investigation, this gobbledygook, this utter turd of an investigation is the insurance policy. And they're implementing it, and they're doing it. Look, you say we text on that phone when we talk about Hillary because it can't be traced? How many other people were doing that? The wife, another story, the wife of the Department of Justice deputy was a Fusion GPS employee, a CIA research aide, and applied for a ham radio license 1 month after contracting Christopher Steele to write the Trump dossier. Hillary and her campaign, working with these people, contracted that dossier, which is the turd that forms the turd of this investigation. Department of Justice Associate Deputy Attorney General Bruce Orr was demoted because he had a working relationships with Steele and Fusion GPS. More importantly, or perhaps conveniently, according to James Rosen, Bruce Orr did not reveal his October 2016 contacts with Steele or Glenn Sampson of Fusion GPS to the leadership of the Department of Justice. The ongoing dossier story gets far more intriguing as it is now discovered that Bruce Orr's wife, Nellie, actually worked for Fusion GPS and helped guide the Russian dossier. Contacted by Fox News, investigators for the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence confirmed that Nellie Orr, wife of demoted DOJ official Bruce Orr, worked for Fusion GPS, the opposition research firm. The precise nature of her duties, including whether she worked on the dossier, remain unclear, but a review of her published works available online revealed that she has written extensively on Russia topics. House staff confirmed to Fox News she was paid by Fusion GPS through the summer and fall of 2016. But it doesn't stop there. Mrs. Orr was not only a Fusion GPS contract employee, but she was part of the CIA's open source works in Washington. Both Mr. and Mrs. Orr worked in a collaborative group project surrounding international organized crime. A month after Hillary hired Fusion GPS, this is in April of 2016. That's when Hillary hired Fusion GPS to subcontract the Trump dossier. Christopher Steele, she hired him. And if she did, these people all knew this was happening because it's clear the Obama Department of Justice and the FBI were working with the Clinton campaign on the dossier and to undermine the Trump campaign. A month after Hillary hired Fusion GPS in April of 2016 to subcontract retired MI6 agent Christopher Steele to write the Trump dossier, Nellie Orr applied for a ham radio license on May 23rd of 2016. A communication tool that would allow her and Christopher Steele, the author of the dossier, the ability to communicate outside the normal risk of communication intercepts. Now, keeping in mind that both Bruce and Nellie Orr's subject matter skill set within the DOJ would provide them with a comprehensive understanding of how to network and communicate with international actors outside the traditional risk of communication intercepts. In short, Mrs. Orr would know that using ham radio frequencies would be a way to avoid the risk of U.S. intelligence intercepting her communications. The Clinton campaign hired Fusion GPS in April of 2016 and contracted for the Trump dossier to be written. What are we talking about here? The Clinton campaign orders this thing, which then becomes the foundation, the basis for this turd investigation. This thing needs to be disbanded and disbanded yesterday. It's a sham.